I'm really good at is building brands and creating voices for companies and like sharing the message in a way that I think will resonate with a lot of people. So I started off just taking over. First thing I did, I took over their social media, and then I experimented with a whole bunch of different stuff. The one thing that they really needed help with was YouTube, and I had no experience with video or YouTube whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I was much better than all of them. They're older than me, so they don't know what the heck's going on. So
that's what we were saying earlier. Remember, I was just like, the older generation or the older people, like even like the older millennials is like in the late 30s and stuff. They don't really. Some of them really don't use social media like that.
Doesn't connect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So social media, video, and then to be honest with you, like I was getting tired of doing the video stuff, and I was like, man, I really miss closing deals.
Yeah, I read that. I read that in your profile.
Like, I was like, man, I miss closing deals. So I had this thing. I was like, man, there's companies that I want to work with that aren't working with podcasts, and I have a really good eye for identifying what I think are up and coming brands, like kind of like spotting trends before they happen. So I just started putting together this concept of, okay, let me reach out to brands that I think would be a good fit for the show, and let's see what happens. And I sold my ass off and convinced enough to take a chance on us. They did. They saw really, really good results, and then I just kept doing it. So last year was probably my first full year of doing the partnership side of things, which is really acting like an agency on behalf of the podcast, representing what I would consider the talent.
Yeah.
So I took this whole thing of, you're one of your, things that you're passionate about is music. So I was like, what if I took there's a lot of similarities between the podcast space and the music business.
Right.
And I was like, artists have agents, and I was like, man, I'm just going to represent the talent side. So I started going in there, and I knew nothing, dude. I knew absolutely nothing, so I had no blueprint. And so I started hitting up a bunch of agencies and just identifying what their process was like and what it was like to work with them. So I did a couple of deals with agencies just so I could figure out how they do business. And what I found out, I was like, man, this is a pretty shitty experience. Like, you aren't very good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I took what they did, and I'm like, that's not cool. And I just approached the brands that I thought would perform well, and I convinced them to work with the show. And then dude. So it was really cool. In December, we went through our first wave of what I would call renewals. So people that have been working with us for 6 to 12 months, and they re-upped, and we did like 1-year deals, and that's not really that common. So I took from my startup world, the whole goal is to do 1, 2, 3-year deals with these people, so you can kind of have predictable revenue. Yeah. And I was like, man. So I pick and pulled. I took some of my experience from the startup world and applied it to, podcasting and grew the revenue for the advertising side of the business on the podcast. Like, man, I don't know, a lot.
So you know what? I can officially call you, because I had a couple brand architects. I like to call you brand architects, but you really like. I can call you like a podcast agent, because you don't really hear about that, like a agent that helps podcasters as well. Like, it's like for example, like with music, artists have their agents and their managers and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's a little bit more. It's like, for me, like I'm going to school right now, like to be an agent as well. An athletic agent. Like, I can technically do it now because I already got my bachelor's and master's and stuff like that. But I want to continue to learn and know the ins and outs. Not just for like the players, but also what I learned. Like the big agents, they always, like how you did, like you went into like to these other agencies and like to these other companies. And like for me as an athletic agent, I want to be able to like walk into like the Miami Heat or San Antonio or LA or something like that to speak to their managers and owners, just to see who are they looking at and stuff like that. Just try to bring in everything together and stuff like that. Cause I forgot his name. It was LeBron, one of LeBron agent. I forgot his name. I was just looking at a video of him. I was looking at a video of his the other day, but he's someone else that I look up to. So he pretty much like he bridged that gap between the corporate world and the actual person that's on the court. And what you doing is dope because you actually bringing that. For your people, you bringing the corporate world with the. I like to say, we artists at the end of the day too. The podcasters, and that's
creators.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, it was cool. Like I've always had this. Have you seen? I can't remember it. What's the one with they did the series with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine?
The Defiant ones. I learned so much from that documentary. Like 5 episodes, right?
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. So like what do they call it? Remember Jimmy Iovine? I don't know if he was saying it, but like you have the what is it? The innovator and then the levitator.
Yeah.
Right. And what was really cool is this concept that I'm like playing with right now, where how do you sit between culture and talent?
Yeah.
Because I think if you can be in the middle of that, it's a very, very powerful place to be. Because culture is everything that's relevant today, right now. Right. Culture will never change.
Right.
We may go through different phases and different styles and different themes, but it will always be very, very important. Mm-hmm. And then the talent side, right? The artists, the creators, like there's that bridge that you're talking about that you need to connect.
Yeah.
And if you can make those connections, you become really, really valuable. And when I think of like, okay, so this is where I really take inspiration from music. So I look at Jimmy Iovine and I look at like Diddy, for example, right? Like Diddy's a really good example because check this out. So Diddy's story, he started throwing college parties, right?
Yeah.
And he used to throw some really some crazy parties.
Yeah.
And he was really good at that. And he, what he's really good at is getting a lot of attention and building hype, mm-hmm. and then delivering, right? And just paying attention, I was like, man, I'm gonna like, the dude does everything, right?
Everything.
Throws hard. He was an A&R, right?
Yeah.
So artist and repertoire. And if you look up, like if you Google A&R, most people don't even know what that means. And artist and repertoire doesn't really mean shit. But mm-hmm. they're like a liaison between the artist and they help develop the sound and they help, deliver the message and do the kind of like, they're involved in all aspects. It's not the manager, it's not the agent, it's your A&R.
Yeah, A&R is the one.
Talent, right?
Yeah, he's the one he or she is the one that's always there, pretty much.
Yeah. And so he was an A&R, and then he what did he do? Man, what else did he do in music? I mean, obviously he founded Bad Boy and did all that, but like, so he still continues to touch everything. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy? There's this crazy like fact. He has one of the best selling albums of all time, and he is by far not one of the best rappers of all time, which I find incredible.
He's a marketing genius. You gotta remember, like Diddy was just one of the people that was like before his time, like way before his time. Like that's the 90s. 90s internet was just starting to be in its prime. You remember, like I tell these youngers all the time, like back in them days we had internet, but internet we didn't have like Wi-Fi and stuff. You had to plug it up. We had dial-up and stuff like that. We didn't have all these 100 megabytes and stuff like that. We didn't even have 50 megabytes or 30 megabytes back in the day. Like it was so slow. But at that time,
AOL chat room.
Yeah, but like he was way before his time. Like I felt like Diddy is just like one of the people like Levine and all them that was. They knew what had to be done for not just for them, but for the artists.
Absolutely.
And they literally changed the game. Like if you look at all these, other execs right now, they followed those, they followed their footsteps, because you see it today. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. I mean, dude. So he went. He goes from throwing parties to interning.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he interned for. Shit, I don't know who he interned for. Some like big dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then did the whole A&R thing, and then he was like executive producer, and then he got into it with, I can't remember who it was, and he's like, nah, I'm doing my own thing, I'm gonna start Bad Boy. So he started Bad Boy, and then he started producing more and more people, and getting more, more exposure, and then he like is popping up in music videos. Like, bro, he's putting himself in music videos.
That was something else too, because back in them days, a lot of the managers wasn't really in the videos. He started it.
Yeah. Okay. So he has the artist, and then he's showing up in his artist videos, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna put out an album. So he puts out an album, and it becomes one of the best-selling albums of all time. Yeah. So he's out telling people who can actually rap. He can't rap, and he can't dance, and he has one of the best-selling albums of all time, which I find hilarious, And then it's just like, it's brilliant. And then he, then he does a TV show, and then he throws, he throws like the best parties. You know? And I'm like, bro, that's what I want to do. He wasn't confined to one particular space. He used
everything.
Like he touched everything, and Sean John, bro, he started a clothing line.
Yeah.
Sean John was huge, massive. Like
I wore some Sean Johns back in the day, still do.
Yeah, I wore some Sean John too. That's how popular it was, and like, man, so he did fashion, right? So he did apparel. He did, he's done, he does events, like anything that he wants to get into, like film or TV, like he's been into it. And I'm like, man, that's crazy. And when I think of Jimmy Iovine, I'm like, this dude isn't an artist, isn't like particularly like talented, right?
No.
But he is who when I say not particularly talented, but like he doesn't have, like, he's not an athlete, right? He's not an artist, but check this out, like everybody knows Jimmy Iovine, and he's the one who all the stars look up to.
Yeah.
All the celebrities are like, that's Jimmy Iovine. Who the fuck is Jimmy Iovine, right? And then he's like, yo, Dre. He's like, yo, Dre, we're gonna drop some headphones. And because he had built out his network over time and took care of people and put everybody on, he started throwing headphones on everybody in everybody's music videos. And they're like, all right, Jimmy, I'll wear your headphones. And then Beats blows up, and Beats gets acquired by Apple. Obviously, like a lot happens in between there. And then Beats Music, a lot of people don't hear about Beats Music, right? That was like one of the streaming attempts. And so, dude, I geek out on that stuff, because you have these people who in them set, like their talent is discovering talent and building businesses and opportunities around that, while making sure that everybody kind of gets taken care of. Like, I'm sure they're ruthless in business and all that stuff, but it seems like along the way they've been able to sit between that culture and talent and add value, right? So so they're like, okay, this is what's going on over here. This is what's going on over here. You need to talk to this person. You need to do this, and then boom. And it's just crazy. So I was like, man, how can I do that? So I'm trying to figure that out right now. That's what I'm trying to do. You got some big drinking stuff. But yeah. So I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Now, we was talking about Mind Pump, but I wanted to also touch on your company, your dog company. It's accessories and stuff, right? It's like it's an actual apparel,
accessories. So we collars, leashes, harnesses, hoodies, stuff like that. And yeah, man.